Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spa for round 5 of the International GTOpen. My name's Chris McCarthy. It's a pleasure to have you along. We are about to go green for qualifying, and as I say that, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spa for round 5 of the International GTOpen. The lights have gone green at the end of the pit lane, and we are about to get underway for the first qualifying under session. My name's Chris McCarthy. It's a pleasure to have you along here at Spa. It's a pretty cold Spa, as you can see. The track temperature very low at the moment, so this is going to be a tricky qualifying session for the drivers. They're going to do 2 runs throughout this session. They'll go out, they'll do their first set, and then they'll come in, change tyres, and go out and do it again. Being a long lap, the quickest time yesterday was a 2:16.5, so takes, I'm sure as many of you know, it takes a while to get round this circuit. So at speed for each run, they're probably going to only get 2 or 3 laps. So that's what the guys at TF Sport, who you can see there, were telling me yesterday. Sally Ulick is going to be in the car for this session. So one driver will be in for this session. The other drivers then will have to qualify tomorrow. Sally Ulick in the car today for TF Sport. Charlie Eastwood will go out tomorrow. So what's the situation in terms of the championship coming into round 5? This is the penultimate round of the season. A couple of weeks after this, we will go to Barcelona, and that is where we will end the season. So all eyes are now turning towards the fight for the title, and we do have a fight on our hands. In terms of the overall title, the pro class, Enrique Chavez and Miguel Ramos lead the way, despite only having 1 win to their name. Their consistency so far this season, 5 podiums for them in total. Their worst result so far this season is 4th, so it's been incredible consistency from them. They lead on 85 points. 8 points back then is Louis Pret and Vincent Abril for AF Corsa. However, I'm sure anyone that tuned in to the last round will know a great head-to-head we had between the Turn Martin Motorsport car that leads the way and the AF Corsa car second in the standings. After a safety car, the final 20 minutes meant we had a head-to-head, and Abril with a fantastic move into turn 1, or Miguel Ramos took him the race win, the 3rd win for the AF Corsa guys. A bit of a disappointing result for them, however, in the first race with a 7th, so that means they're 8 points back. A disappointing race too, in particular for Sally Ulick and Charlie Eastwood. They were turned round at the first corner. Sally Ulick just a couple of laps into his stint, so unfortunately that dropped them down to 10th place. They had a podium in the first race. They finished in 2nd. They've had a 5 podiums so far this season, 2 wins, but because of that result and a bit of other misfortunes throughout the season, they're 15 points back. But it's still all to play for. A win here, a couple of podiums perhaps, and they are right back in the fight, no doubt. In terms of the Pro-Am class, it is Marcelo Hahn that leads the way. Took the lead at the last round with a 2nd and a 1st. 6 points now ahead of Christian Klein and Patrick Kaprinski. And then in the AM class, our leaders are Florian Schultz and Jens Lieberhauser. Sadly, the team that are trying to chase them down in these standings are not going to be here today. A huge crash for AKM Motorsport yesterday at Eau Rouge. Driver is okay, got to speak to them yesterday, but a burst tyre pretty much was that saw the car going off and into the barriers. Thankfully, driver was okay, but sadly that means their weekend is over. They're not the only car that's out already this weekend. Unfortunately, one of the Team Lazarus cars had a huge off going into Blanchimont. It was a failure within the car that saw Nicolas Verone flicked round into a spin at the quickest part of the circuit as well. Blanchimont, very quick corner, as you know, flat out they are through there, and went straight off into the barriers. And it was no longer a race car, I can tell you that, when it came back into the pit lane. It was a huge, huge incident. Thankfully, the safety of these cars meant that Nicolas Verone was okay. Had a chat with him yesterday. He was a little bit sore, but he was okay. And fortunately, we won't see Verone and Stefano Coletti out there on circuit, but they are still here and cheering on their teammates who were quickest yesterday. Fabrizio Crestani and Yannick Mettler took the win last time out as we go on board with Louis Pret up Eau Rouge. Fantastic to watch these cars on board up there. But they were quickest yesterday. It was a 2:16.5 in the very first session from Fabrizio Crestani and Yannick Mettler. Crestani is in the car for this first qualifying session. They, of course, took their first win. It was the first ever win for a Bentley in the International GTOpen in 15 years. We have been running the championship. The first time we saw the British manufacturer on top. And what a win it was. They won by about 34 seconds in the end. So brilliant driving from them. A home win as well for Crestani. They're carrying a lot of confidence now after that as Louis Pret goes past the Sporting new car, which is being piloted by Lewis Silva in this session. And let's see how they can get on today. They're going to be carrying in a lot of confidence into this round. We are looking at the AF Course car. That's Louis Pret. We can see in the car for them. Now, we do have a couple of new faces to talk about for this round. First of all, let's talk about SPS Automotive, because they are not new to the championship. Valentin Pierberger, former champion. He's won here the last 2 years as well in the Prime class. He has Nick Foster alongside him. Great to see Nick Foster here this weekend. Nick Foster, no stranger to GT racing, has raced at the very highest level in the FIA World Endurance Championship. Was third in the Asian Le Mans Series this year in the LMP2 class, the 28-year-old. He's a former Porsche Carrera Cup champion, a former podium finisher on the Bathurst 12 Hour. So great to have him here, great to have Valentin back in the podium. He'll be looking to take a hat-trick of wins this weekend. But our new face is the Oman Racing by TF Sport car. Ahmed Al-Harthi and Tom Canning in the seat for them. Two drivers that were supposed to race together in the British GT Championship this year, but sadly the coronavirus pandemic meant that they had to pull out of that championship. So this is their first proper race of the year. They haven't even raced that car this year. The last time they were out was in March at a test day in Snetterton, which was on the build-up to the British GT Championship, and they haven't done any laps at all since then. So when they jumped in the car yesterday, it was for Ahmed, it was trying to get used to the car again. For Tom Canning, it was trying to get used to a GT3 car, because he raced British GT last year in the GT4 class, won the championship, won this round as well, did Tom Canning alongside Ash Hand. It was their only win of the season and helped them to the title eventually. But he only got to do a few laps yesterday because of the red flags. Mentioning the two incidents I did earlier, that they brought out red flags. Unfortunately, that meant he didn't have a lot of running at all, did Tom Canning yesterday. As we can see, the number 16 Teo Martin Motorsport car, that's Marcelo Hahn, our Pro-Am leader, and that's our Pro-Am leader facing the wrong way at the entrance to the pit lane. There we go. Let's have another look at it in slow motion. And at that point there, I think Marcelo Hahn knew he was going all the way round. Thankfully, no barriers near him to go into, so he'll get that thing turned around and going again. But Tom Canning just trying to get used to this car. It's a lot quicker than the GT4 car he raced here last year. He hasn't really had any running in a GT3 car, nowhere near the amount that most of the drivers out on track in the same kind of machinery have. So big step up for the 18-year-old, but so far he's doing himself proud. They were second in the last session of the day yesterday, so a real fantastic job for them. But in all, I think Tom Canning only got about 4 or 5 laps, and he really didn't got a lot of running at all. But this is going to be a real test for him. They're here to race. They're here as kind of a wild card entry. Ahmed is based back in Oman, so it's been really difficult for him to travel anywhere. That's our second off, and that's our second off at the final corner as well, and that was the car that went quickest yesterday, Fabrizio Crestani. So let's talk about some times. Louis Pret has gone quickest, 2:15.3. Let's have a look at what happened to Crestani. Just got a little bit too trigger happy there on the throttle, and round he went. So Crestani, that's going to ruin 2 laps for him now. The lap he was on, or if he was trying to set up a lap, that's going to ruin that lap as well. So that's a lot of time wasted, mistakes very costly at that part of the circuit here. Very costly wherever you are, just given how long it is. So Pret is currently quickest, 2:15.3. Crestani in second place despite that spin. He's only 400ths behind. Miguel Ramos is in third place. Stefan Ortelli is in fourth place. Got to chat to him on Thursday. Very happy as ever. Stefan Ortelli, great to have around the paddock. Sally Ulick, talked to him yesterday. Sally Ulick in fifth place in this session so far. That's a car that always goes very well around here. As proven by this man here, he's the reigning Spa 24-hour champion alongside Ahmed, who we were talking about in the Oman racing car, and his teammate Charlie Eastwood as well. Those three, along with Nicky Team, won the Spa 24-hour here last year. They're reigning champions. They have 2 podiums here in the FIA World Endurance Championship as well in the last 2 seasons. So it's a good car here. It's won in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and there's a very good chance it could win this weekend, given they are going to take an aggressive approach into this. They've got points to close down and only 2 rounds to do it in, so no doubt they're going to be going for wins on both days here. Sally Ulick in the car, personal best through him through sector 1. Let's see what he can do through sector 2, as he's now going to make the run down to Blanchimont, and he's on a fastest lap. So Sally Ulick, fastest of anyone through the second sector as he makes his way now down to Blanchimont, gets through the traffic just in time. Here comes the Turkish driver now, up to the fast left-hander. Sally Ulick, is he going to be able to put this car to the top? It's a 2:15.323 that he has to beat now as he comes down towards the final chicane. Hard on the brakes, into the right-hander. Set yourself up then for the exit, and he's going to come in. Oh, what a shame. I commentated it all the way, and Sally Ulick came in. There we go. Sally Ulick comes into the pits, clearly wasn't happy with that one, or it's just as planned. They're going to come in, go through 2 sets in this race. So Louis in this session. So we have warning flags already going up for track limits, Fabrizio Crestani being one of them. This was the Oman Racing by TF Sport car we were talking about. So unlike the whole of the season, they've got 2 cars to play with, 2 cars to work with in terms of setup. Now, Tom Canning, the 18-year-old, in the car for them. His first time racing in this championship. His first race in one of these cars as well. Stepping up from GT4. Here he comes in towards the final chicane. Tom Canning leading the Pro-Am class so far, 3rd overall, and he's going to go round. So out of the final corner he comes, and Tom Canning making his way up to the start-finish line. Let's see where this puts him. He stays in 3rd for the time being. He's done a 2:16.072. He's going to go for one more, or this could be a lap into the pit. So it's going to be Pret, Crestani leading the way, both in pit lane. Canning out there, the lead driver that is still out on track. Miguel Ramos in 4th place, our championship leader. Behind that is Stefan Ortelli, 2nd in Pro-Am. Ollie Milroy is in 6th place for Ultimate Motorsport. Sally Ulick 7th, Kaprinsky in 8th. Valentin Pierreberg on his return is in 9th. And Nicky Lutweiler is our lead AM driver. He is in 10th place. Well, Tom Canning has gone quickest of anyone through the first sector. Absolutely flying at the moment, getting up to speed very quickly, isn't he? As he comes through Les Coums, he'll now make his run down towards Bruxelles. And looking good so far for Tom Canning. Needs to find about 7/10 if he's going to challenge the top 2. But he'll just want to be the lead Pro-Am driver as he makes his way now down towards the left-hander. Tom Canning now making his way towards Pouon. He's approaching a little bit of traffic here, but hopefully they should get out of the way for him. Let's see what he can do through the second sector. This usually is where lap times are won and lost. Most difficult section of the track, the longest sector it is on the track as well. So here he comes up to the left-hander, always catching traffic just at the wrong time here. Here's Tom Canning. Let's see if it's going to affect him. He'll bail out of the lap if it has, as he now comes through the right-hander, and it looks like he's just backing off a little bit. So I think that will be potentially Canning coming into the pits. We've got drivers coming out. We've got 6 cars in the pits. We haven't seen... we've got Nezov and Coletti down the bottom left of your picture. We won't be seeing them in this session. Sadly, we won't be seeing them this weekend, as Tom Canning will, I think, bail into the pits here. He backed off through the second sector, and he comes in. sitting third so far, so a very good start to this session, but it will be a change of tyres now, and out for one more. You've got to get a good lap in, really, a good banker. Euro Formula Open qualifying proved that earlier. If a red flag was to go out now, and any drivers who haven't got that good lap behind them just yet will suffer. Now, we haven't talked about GT Cup Open just yet, and this is our championship leader in terms of GT Cup Open. It's Aldo Vestante. He has had 3 wins in a row. 1 race 2 at Paul Ricard, and then 2 wins at Monza on home soil. Actually spoke to him at the end of the weekend, and he was very happy, as you can imagine, to win 2 races on home soil and do it pretty comfortably as well. It gives him an 8-point advantage over Daniel Diaz Varela and Manuel Cerqueda. Now, a win is 15 points, second is 12 points, so 3 points difference. It can close very quickly, and it can close to 2 points, even if Aldo Vestante is to finish in second place. Now, I'm not going to, as ever, be alone this weekend. Elliot Wood is going to be alongside me, and I think it's a good time to bring him in as we approach the halfway distance, or as we approach kind of half-time in the session with everyone coming into the pits for a change. Elliot, it's great to have International GT Open here. We've been coming here since 2008. I got to go around the circuit yesterday and watch from the likes of Eau Rouge, Blanchimont as well. Absolutely awesome to see these cars going around there. They're going about 140 when they go up Eau Rouge, Tom Canning told me. Incredible stuff. You must enjoy always coming in. It's your second time here for this, isn't it? So you must love coming to this track.
Yeah, I've been around the track in one of the cars technically, and yeah, I've spent a long time with GT cars at this circuit, so I do kind of know what it takes to go around the lap. Not only in these conditions, but also in the middle of the night when there's a storm as well. Yeah,
well, yeah, you were here for a 24-hour, weren't you, as well? So you've done international GT and 24-hour here, so it must be cool. I mean, seeing cars go around at night must be awesome, but when you watch these cars from around the circuit, it's just fantastic, isn't it? I think it's one of those tracks you have to come to and experience at some point.
Absolutely, and it's one of those tracks where I think the corner speed is so high, and you don't always see it. The TV doesn't always demonstrate it as good as trackside does, but
no.
Like drivers take so much speed going into the corners, regardless of what car they're in. Hit the brakes as late as possible, and then carry so much speed on exit, especially on corners like this with Pouon and then down through to Stavelot after the chicane. It's so much speed's being picked up because it's going downhill all the way. And then all the uphill is pretty much in a straight line, apart from Eau Rouge. So you keep up that speed throughout the lap.
This is Jens Lieberhauser, our championship leaders, second in the championship, not racing this weekend, but they still have Nicky Luttweiler out there, and the 2 AM drivers right together in terms of times. 2:18.8 for Jens Lieberhauser, Nicky Luttweiler a 2:18.8, so 8 tenths apart. Nicky Luttweiler will have to close that gap down when he returns from pit lane, but Jens Lieberhauser is going to go up to the line, and he's going to improve. He goes to 8th place, 2:17.684. Good time that from Jens as he makes his way out of turn 1. Just playing with fire a little bit there, going over that curb. Now Louis Pret is about to come back out onto the track. Crestani in second. Great to see the Bentley team Lazarus now having that win. They are really starting to show the pace that car has. I think we've all knew how quick it is. We knew it was capable of a podium. 34-second win. Didn't expect that, but there we go. But now second so far in this session.
And I think the luck their teammates haven't had has gone all into that car over recent events. And obviously the car does have the pace, as we're seeing one of the McLarens and one of the GT Cup Open cars go side by side. We are going to have that issue here, this being the longest circuit on the calendar. And so far we've got a 10-second gap between our top GT Cup Open car and our top International GT Open car.
Yes, we saw Ollie Milroy. They are chasing their first class win in that car, he and Brendan Irib. Brendan has been improving hugely, I have to say, for someone who hasn't been racing for a long amount of time. He's starting to really come on. Fabrizio Crestani here in second. Now, he's gone personal best through sector 1 and personal best through sector 2, it seems, as he makes his way now up to Blanchimont, and we've got a car stopped, and is that going to be a red flag? We've got a car stopped to the right. I don't know if that's a mistake with the car now making its way back. I think it might be Rodrigue Guillon, but Fabrizio Crestani making his way up towards the final corner. He's been delayed on this lap. He's 5 seconds slower, so he's going to set himself up now for another as he heads up to the line. So Fabrizio Crestani up to the line he goes, and he goes to second place. Well, it was actually a good lap, wasn't it, in the end? 2:15.323, but Tom Canning has just gone quickest. So the number 97 Oman Racing by TF Sport car has gone to the top. So Tom Canning, the 18-year-old in his first race in International GTOpen, has gone quickest just as the red flag comes out. So we have a red flag in the session. We had a car off just coming out of turn 16, and that has brought out the red flag, so we can get that car recovered. But that is our provisional pole sitter. It is Oman Racing by TF Sport. It is Tom Canning on his debut in a GT3 car.
Brilliant job. I'm going to see the car that is stopped at the side. Doesn't look like there's been a crash. Obviously, they haven't parked it up as best as possible, have they?
It is Rodrigue Guillon, as we expected. He has come off there on the exit of 16. That's Crestani, who put in a good time there. It's very close at the top, I have to say. There's less than a tenth between the top three. So Tom Canning 2:15.2, and then we have Pret, who in fact that's a time deletion, unfortunately for Canning. So Canning has dropped back to third. So that was improving under yellows. Well, he did pass the car that was stopped. So that is why that time has been deleted for Tom Canning. So Pret remains fastest, Crestani second, and only 400s between them. Patrick Kaprinski, the AM driver on the JP Motorsport team, is in the session for this one. Christian Klein will go out tomorrow. Stefan Ortelli is the driver in the 48, having a good session so far. They're actually at 5th place is Stefan Ortelli, doing a good job. They are another team wanting to get their first class win. This was a car that went very well last time out. The number 72, Nick Moss, who's in that car, the AM driver of that team, did a really good job going head-to-head with the likes of Eastwood and Enrique Chavez to get second. Number 22, Nicky Lutweiler, second in AM class so far. And then this is the number 16, Marcelo Hahn, the place we saw him have a spin just a few laps ago. He is currently in 12th place, and by his standards, that's disappointing. So he'll be looking to get back out and improve. But the red flag has brought a disruption to the sessions for everyone, really, in terms of the plans they had for the session. They're going to have to kind of reset those now. This is Luis Silva in the GT Cup Open class, who is 4th in that class. Leading that class is this man here, Aldo Vestante, in the number 51. Has 1.6 seconds over Manuel Cerqueda. And you can see that the Rodrigue Guillon car is being towed back now. So all those cars are going to come in, and I suspect go straight back out again, unless we have repairs going on to the barriers. I'm not sure if he actually went into the barriers. I think it was more just a pull over and stop.
Yeah, so the question is, why wasn't he able to restart the car by himself and has needed a tow truck?
No idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the last we see of Rodrigue in this session.
Hopefully he's towed into the pits. We'll see him as he goes past, and we can see if there is any front-end damage, if he has hit the barriers, or if, you know, it might just be in a mechanical.
We've got 58 seconds until the green flag, so I suspect a lot of cars are just going to drive straight up to the end of the pit lane. They might come in for 1 or 2 checks, but some cars will just, I'm sure, go straight up there and get at the front of the queue, because everyone's going to be going out, I'm sure, once the green flag is waved. We haven't seen Rodrigue Guillon's car come through.
He's just entered the pit lane, but I'm not sure if they're going to take him along it, because obviously there are cars in the fast lane, or if they're just going to leave him trying to get the pit entry.
Well, I don't know where his garage is. His garage they're in. I think he might be down one of the bottom garages, but there we go. That doesn't look damaged to me. That looks like a perhaps an engine problem that's happened there, because like the mechanic was doing there. What's wrong with it?
Yeah. Normally, if there is damage, they'll rush to it, possibly with like a hammer or something, and start hitting things back into place. But
yeah,
they you know, very casual walk over to the car there.
Green flag. That's our provisional pole sitters, Louis Pret in the car there. That's Vincent Abriel, who's just having a chat with him.
They've done the least laps of anyone, but quickest of anyone as well.
Yeah, that's it. Now Nick Moss is first out onto the track, followed by Fabrizio Crestani. Nick Moss has become used to racing with pro drivers at Monza, and he's going to signal that he's staying left, so go round. This could be a suited track for the Bentleys. I think we saw at Monza how quick it was in a straight line. It's a very quick circuit. I think it could go well around here. The McLaren is usually the car that seems to go the better here in recent years. It won here last year. That said, we have never seen the Bentley taken, put through its paces like the guys have done. It's never done a full season. It's only done about 3 races before Crestani, before Team Lazarus took hold of it and decided to go with this full program for it.
Monza was a power circuit, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Spa does have a lot of straight lines, but because there's so much uphill, downhill, and the Bentley is front engined, I believe it's all-wheel drive, but it is probably the heaviest car on the grid. So
yes, it
would
is.
that be a disadvantage here, or would it be nullified by, you know, the kind of the grunt of that engine?
It was quickest yesterday. In terms of history, the McLaren's better. The Ferrari hasn't won here for a few years. I think it was 2017 that car last won round here. But the Aston Martin, that is a car that's won here at the highest of levels, and it won the 24-hour here last year. So that kind of speaks for itself. It's a hard one to call this. If we're looking at cars, obviously when we add in drivers and form into that, it can change. But cars alone, it's could be a tough one to call. But if we're going off championship history, I'd say the McLaren is going to be a tough one to beat.
Yep, and I think as well with the experience of the pro drivers helping those AM drivers, that might come into play a lot as well, because we see that in the endurance races here. It's pretty much all dependent on how much can the pro driver do for the AM driver's performance.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel Ramos is in the leading McLaren in the championship. He's won here 4 times, so he loves this track. However, the last one was the last win he had here was 2016, so he didn't get himself on the top step at Spa again. But we're back underway. This is the first flyers now we're going to see from the drivers. Crestani is out there on a flyer. We've got Nick Moss out there on a flying lap as well. This is Marcelo Hahn leading in the Pro-Am class. He's out there currently trying to set a lap. He's done a 38.8 through the first sector. Jens Lieberhauser is in the pits. Pierre Berg, Luttweiler, Festante, Villanueva also still in the pit lane, who's just come out now. Other than that, everyone else is out there circulating and trying to improve, and on for an improvement so far is the car we're looking at, Marcelo Hahn, who's done a personal best through the first sector as he now makes his way down towards Puo.
And going off Miguel Ramos' previous Spa form, if he does win today, I think he'll become the most successful international GTOpen driver of all time as well.
Miguel Ramos, yeah, well, he's won a lot of races, hasn't he, over the years, has Miguel Ramos. Only the 1 title, but he's got 31 wins, 74 podiums to his name, as Marcelo Hahn makes his way to the right-hander. This at turn at number 15, Stavolo. Let's see what he does through the second sector. He's gone quickest through the second sector. So Marcelo Hahn on a very good lap here as he now makes the run up towards Blanchimont in that McLaren. Can he challenge his teammate who's sitting in 4th place in the Pro class? This is the lead Pro-Am car as it makes its way now round Blanchimont and down towards the final chicane. Marcelo Hahn trying to get himself to the top of the Pro-Am standings. Tom Canning, the one leading the way in that. We've had an improvement from Fabrizio Crestani. He's done a 2:14.6 to extend his gap up front to 7/10 of a second. Let's see what Marcelo Hahn can do. He's 13th at the moment as he goes across the line. Marcelo Hahn is going to go to 8th place, so a pretty good lap for him there. Marcelo Hahn goes to 8th. We've got Pret in 2nd, Canning in 3rd, Ramos in 4th, Ortelli in 5th. Ollie Milroy has had an improvement there. He is in 6th place. Sally Ulick in 7th place, getting himself ready for a flying lap as Stefan Ortelli, there we can see, has gone to 4th. Miguel Ramos in picture there in the number 59 has gone to 5th place.
And Louis Pret's just set the fastest middle sector of anyone, so that's the run through from Lacombe down to Stavelo, I believe. That's the twistiest bit of the track. The Bentley has been quicker in the other two sectors so far, though. So whether they can reclaim provisional pole, we're on board with one of the Mercedes right now. You can see how long this straight is, and you're just losing tyre temperature all the way down to the braking zone at Lacombe.
We won't see Pret improve. He did a slow first sector, but he's personal best second sector, so he's gearing himself up, I think, for a lap. He's just come across the line, so we'll have a look at Louis Pret next time around to see what he can do. We've got Ollie Milroy improving through the first sector. Marcelo Hahn likewise improving through the first sector as well. Nick Moss has also done a personal best as through no name here comes Patrick Kaprinsky, now makes his way down towards Pouon.
This next corner is probably the best to watch a GT car to see how long they can hold the throttle, and just as we cut away from the onboard.
We'll get plenty of it, I'm sure. It will look good in racing terms. Right, this is the number 7 we now pick up of Ollie Milroy. He is in 6th place. He's got a good target to aim for ahead of him as well, isn't he? I think Sally Ulick is also on a fly, and these two together in terms of lap times as well. But Ollie Milroy is improving. Let's see what they do through the second sector as they make their way now down towards Blanchimont. Sally Ulick on a slower lap this time around, so his attention, I think, more towards the next lap as they make their way up towards the final corner. Sally Ulick just getting out of the way there and letting the number 7 of Ollie Milroy go through, and Sally's going to come into the pits, and that's his session over then. He's calling it a day. He's going to be 7th place as Ollie Milroy goes up to 3rd. So with that tow of Sally Ulick, Ollie Milroy has put the car to 3rd place, 2:15.998. Brilliant performance there from Milroy, and he's going to get time for another. Well, I thought Sally Ulick was going into the pits, but it was just the line he took. He's got almost went exactly far right, and he's going to get time for at least one more lap, even if this one is slower.
And neither of his previous 2 efforts have been an improvement, but he's been running in that kind of optimum zone for his tyres, so potentially he won't actually have the tyre life in that zone to improve on this lap either.
He's got a target to aim for. He could get a tow here as well off that Optimum Motorsport car, but here is the driver who's gone quickest through the second sector. Here comes Louis Pret. He's got to find 7/10 of a second as he rounds the final corner, makes the run down to the start finish line. Crestani on a 2:14.6. Pret comes across the line and does a 2:15.4, so doesn't go quicker, but he's got time to do one more as he goes through La Source.
So is that first sector letting him down again, because he set the fastest 2nd and 3rd of anyone, but dropped at least 3/10 to Tom Canning, who's just gone fastest of all in the first sector. He's currently in 3rd place, 3/10 behind Louis Pret. We're on board with Pret again as he's on his next lap, taking quite a bit of curb on the run out to Eau Rouge there, down onto the Kemmel Straight. You do see a lot of drivers weaving down here when there are no other cars around them, because you do need that tyre temperature when you get to Lacombe.
Tom Canning, as you said, improved last time. He did a 2:15.614. He's done a personal best through that first sector, a 38.2. Let's see what he can do this time. We wait to see the second sectors. We've got Ollie Milroy improving once again. So Ollie Milroy going even quicker here as we wait for the checkered flag.
So is Louis Pret. He's set his personal best in the first sector finally, although Tom Canning is still 2/10 up. We're on board with Pret as he goes through the second sector, coming down through No Name. He's going to go down on the run to Pouon. This is where the Ferrari's been quicker than the Bentleys and the McLarens so far.
Let's keep an eye on Tom Canning as he's gone fastest of anyone through the second sector. Here he comes up to the final chicane. Well, can he challenge for the front row on his debut in International GTOpen? Let's see as he comes out of the final chicane. Tom Canning might get time for one more here as well as he comes up to the line. Tom Canning goes second, 2:14.783, and he just beat the checkered flag as well, so he's going to get time for one more, but he's within 2/10 of pole position.
And Louis Pret should be the next car coming across the line. Stefan Ortelli's actually just jumped up to third place, 2/10 off pole. We can see Louis Pret approaching final few corners as Tom Canning goes through Eau Rouge, and yeah, he's not going to make it. So Ortelli's jumped all the way up to third there.
Brilliant stuff from Stefan Ortelli. Hugely experienced driver, as we know, but we've got Ollie Milroy improving. He's gone personal best through the first sector. He currently sits in 5th place. Sally Ulick is improving as well. He's just done a 38.5. That's a good first sector for him. So the drivers in 2nd, 5th and 7th are the ones we are watching out for. It's the driver in 2nd we currently are watching on screen, but I think Tom Canning might have backed out of this lap, so we wait to see what Ollie Milroy and Sally Ulick can do. They're looking to find some time. Tom Canning looks to be slowing now on this lap as the checkered flag is waving. Are we going to see any more improvements? Ollie Milroy has gone through the first sector. He's done a personal best through there. Sally Ulick likewise. They are the final drivers we might see improve here. There is Fabrizio Crestani, who looks like he's going to be taking pole position in this one. Fantastic performance from Fabrizio Crestani. He walks into the garage there, the Team Lazarus driver. After their win last time, we've just had someone go across the line and complete the session. But Lazarus already celebrating, absolutely delighted with that performance there. And Fabrizio Crestani has taken pole position here at Spa, coming off the back of the very first win for the Bentley in International GTOpen, a win on home soil as well for Fabrizio Crestani. As across the line, here comes Ollie Milroy across the line to complete the session. He stays in 5th place. Did a personal best though, 2:15.965, and Sally Ulick has come into pit lane. This looks like Stefan Ortelli, who's going to be 3rd. So Fabrizio Crestani, another pole position for Team Lazarus. Absolutely fantastic job from them. They boosted themselves all the way up to 7th in the championship. They're now in a fight as well for 4th place. But Fabrizio Crestani, that is 2 pole positions in a row, the 2nd pole of the year for Team Lazarus. Tom Canning, how about that? The 18-year-old on his debut, on his first race in a GT3 car, shows why he is an Aston Martin Academy driver, and he goes 2nd place. Absolutely brilliant performance from him. 2:14.7. Stefan Ortelli right at the death there, went up to 3rd place. That's got to be their best qualifying of the year. Louis Pret, 4th place, ahead of his championship rival Miguel Ramos, who's 6th. Ollie Milroy splitting them in that Optima Motorsport car. Sally Ulick finishes in 7th place, just behind championship rivals. Then we've got Marcelo Hahn leading the prime class, but all the way down in 8th. Behind that, Lieberhauser and Kaprinski. Lieberhauser leading. And then it's Pierre Berg, Moss, Luttweiler. Verstante leads GT Cup Open. Let's go down and speak to our pole sitters.
Stani, a great pole at Spa, and that's always a satisfaction.
Yeah, it's always great drive here. You know, Spa is a great track. We knew from yesterday we had potential with fresh tires. We don't know exactly where we are with race pace, because yesterday with the red flag and we couldn't test it what we wanted to. But yeah, it's looking good. We'll give my best in the race.
And of course, it's a good reward for the team after a very difficult day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the crash was huge, and but important is that the driver is fine. So, I mean, the car is safe. And also the truck, you know, with the barriers and so on, everything is very, very safe. And with this kind of impact at more than 200 Ks, the driver is like nothing. So this is great for sure for our sport.
How you see the race tomorrow? This afternoon. So.
Yeah, this afternoon, as I told you before, I mean, we don't actually know exactly where we are in terms of race pace. But it looks like in cold condition we are good. So I hope it will stay like this, and I gave my best to try pull a gap and give the car to Yannick in a good position.
Perfect. I don't think we will have 30 degrees later.
That's for sure.
Well done.
So Fabrizio Crestani will lead the way when we go green here at Spa, 2:30 local time here in Belgium, well, when we get underway for race 1 of the weekend. We'll see you then.